what about the argument, or maybe the misconception, that would probably be a better word, that people lose control when they go into some form of hypnosis? Isn't that the fear of giving up control when being hypnotized?
Well, if you use no drugs, no alcohol, and you don't sleep deprive yourself, then that's a reasonable concern. But people use all kinds of substances and methods to lose control all the time. So, yes, under hypnosis, you will be somewhat more influenceable. But so will you be if you've had a few drinks. Like, your inhibitions are going to be lower. That doesn't mean you can be made to do anything. It just means you can be talked into doing something you already want to do.
So there already has to be a capacity there for action, is what you're saying.
Right.
And in the absence of that capacity, no form of hypnosis will convince anybody to do anything?
Well, you can sort of motivate people to do things, but only if the motivation is really, really good. Like, you can get people to do a lot of things for $1 million.
That's right.
And I can get people to do a lot of things because they know that I'm going to use a word that's going to feel them an incredible orgasm every time I say that word. And so they're going to want to do what I tell them to do because they're going to get that reward. So I can do it that way, but if they just say no, then there's nothing I can do. It's just motivation.
So getting back to our earlier question as to why you decided to work on hypnotic transformations.
Ah, yes. Well, I used to hypnotize women on the net. There are actually groups of people who do this on the net where there are some hypnotists and there are some subjects. People who really like to be hypnotized and people who really like to hypnotize others. And so I would hypnotize women because it's fun. And these would be people who are willing. Now, as it happens on the net very often, they would often misrepresent themselves. And these would be guys pretending to be women. Because they knew that I would only hypnotize women. So, at one point, I discovered that one of my girls was not a girl. At first I was upset. But then I realized that it doesn't really matter. Because I was just as excited. I had just as much fun. So the premise on which I do my work is, I'm turned on by hypnotizing women. I really enjoy it. But this is only in my head. As long as I imagine them as women, it doesn't really matter. So I hypnotize men into believing they're women, and then we have fun.
You're listening to Frank Talks Pleasures and Lifestyles, and in studio we have the lovely Linda, the sexy hypnotist.
Frank Talks is sponsored in part by Everything Out of Her Mouth is a Test, a man's guide to the emotional needs of women. Ladies, does your man squash your inner vixen? When you ask him to repeat what you have just said to him, does he look at you like a deer caught in the headlights? Does he think that leaving the game on while you talk to him is a good idea? Is his favorite phrase, "Yes, dear, you are absolutely right"? Does wife or girlfriend mean boring and dull to him? Ladies, don't you wish that he knows what you mean when you ask him if you look fat? Then you need to buy him the book, Everything Out of Her Mouth is a Test, a man's guide to the emotional needs of women. On sale now at franktalks.com.
Frank Talks is sponsored in part by the book, I'm a Man, That's My Job, The Philosophy of a Seducer. Your inner game is as unique and personal as your signature or your fingerprints. This book provides you with the means to create your own seduction persona. By this, learn what it means to be a man and attract the women you want. Learn about how men and women think differently and how to take the lead in a relationship. This book is for you at franktalks.com.
Guys, does your bachelor pad look as frightening as an Elvis convention? Then you need the Pimping Your Pad seminar. Do you own a twin bed and still love your Star Wars sheets? Then you need the Pimping Your Pad seminar. Is the only source of artificial light in your bachelor pad the bare, dusty bulb hanging from the ceiling? Then you need the Pimping Your Pad seminar. Do your friends walk into your apartment and think you have been robbed? Then you need the Pimping Your Pad seminar. Do you think that minimalist means barren as the Gobi Desert? Then you need the Pimping Your Pad seminar. If your bathroom is home to a colony of anything, then you need the Pimping Your Pad seminar. The Pimping Your Pad seminar and telephone consultations, only available at franktalks.com.
franktalks.com.
You're listening to Frank Talks, Pleasures, and Lifestyles. And I'm Frank because I have to be. We're back in studio with Linda, the sexy hypnotist, and we're going to be talking to her a little bit more about her business. Welcome back, Linda.
Thank you very much, Frank.
All right, let's turn the attention here to some statistics, specifically about your clients, your success rate with them. Anything about your clients that you can tell us? What are the majority of your clients? What categories do they fall into?
There's a whole lot of different kinds of people. Because my services are relatively expensive, it has to be people who can afford it. So I tend to get more older folks, but I occasionally get some kids in college. I've got clients that are 55 years old. Actually, I have a few of them. And in their case, no amount of makeup is going to make them look like an 18-year-old pinup. But in hypnosis, they can hallucinate that they are whoever they want to be. I've got a lot of 30-year-olds, 40-year-olds, different professions. I've got doctors, lawyers, factory workers, college students, as I mentioned, mechanics, all kinds. As far as statistics, the only statistics I've compiled are those of how fast do I get them the result they want. So after one session, 84% I've gotten to the point where they can really go very deeply into trance to the point of forgetting their body and being completely just out there, just unaware of anything other than my voice. After 4 sessions, that goes up to 98%.
Can you talk us through what you would do with somebody in that first session, the first time someone contacts you through your website?
Well, the first session, assuming it's a phone session, we would chat a bit online using Yahoo, ICQ, something like that. And then they would call me, and they would recline usually in bed or couch, and we would start the induction. Now, the main goal for me, since I'm doing transformations rather than therapy, at least that's what we're talking about. I also have a therapy site. But for the fun stuff, the main goal is to get them to forget their physical body, to have it just go completely numb and just forget about it, so that they're kind of just floating, kind of disembodied as awareness, and feeling really good. Then I give them a trance trigger, so that they can return into trance very quickly and very easily every time, so we don't have to spend a whole lot of time every session bringing them back into trance. Each session is normally an hour. Now, generally, that's all we do in the first session. Sometimes we have time to do a little bit more. But generally,